Alright, we're gonna build a drawer box with some dividers in it. And this is not intended to be a best practice tutorial. It's just to help somebody get started on building this kind of thing with solids in Chief. So this is, of course, one I've already done. And you can see that well, I can see, I hope you can see too, that the wood grain is all gone in the wrong direction. And that's a bug in Chief. When I built this, when I created this, I put the wood grain on there going, side to side, front to back, how I would build a drawer. And when you convert that to a symbol, Chief rearranges things. Now, you can see across the back here that the wood grain is still going side to side the way it was applied. You can see over here on this outside edge, this outside piece, that there's a little triangle, goofy triangle shaped thing in here. And over here, it's kind of hard to see, but there's that little triangle thing right in there too. You can see the wood grain that goes across the front of this is messed up. So there's a lot of little oddball stuff, and what I found is that it won't always be the same. Each time you do this, it could come out different. So anyway, as I said, this is not going to be a full-blown tutorial. This is just to get somebody going on doing this kind of thing in Chief. So I'm going to start by putting a 3D solid here. This is going to be the bottom of our drawer box. So I'll open that up. I'm going to make it a 1/2 inch. And this down here will stay at 0. So I'm going to make this 18 inches wide. These dimensions they're obviously make it 18 by 20. So this is the outside. This is the outside of our drawer box. That's the outside dimensions. And so the sides and the back are going to be 5/8. So I need to make this 5/8 smaller all the way around. So I'm going to hold the C key on the keyboard, come in like this, hit tab. Change those to 5/8. Say OK. And now that's the correct size. So I'll grab another 3D solid. Of course, that's incorrect. I hardly ever do that. I usually use dimensions. So let's make that 12 inches. Again, that could be anything. Let's look at it in 3D. So let's put some wood grain on it. And then I'll copy and reflect about this. So there's our front and our back. Copy this, spin it around, point to point. This just seems so much more difficult in X15. I kind of skipped from X12 and then a little bit of X14 and now X15. It used to be in X12, stuff like that just seemed to snap so much easier. So here's a cross section. And I'm going to pick up a snap here. Let's drag this over 5 inches. That's just a completely arbitrary amount. The only thing I'm going to use that for is to put a snap right there. I'm going to take this, I'm going to reflect about the center of that, put another break right there, and then while that's selected right there, I'm going to change that, put a curve there. I can delete that line, and if you zoom in here, you'll notice how that's kind of faceted. So I'm going to select this, selected arc, and check automatic facet angle. Make that 2. You can experiment with that to see what that needs to be, but you can see how that smoothed that out. Back here to plan. There's some buggy stuff that happens when you select something like this with a curve in it. You can see you can select like that instead of just, you'd think that you'd just be able to select that entire piece. If you select this middle piece right here, I found that there's some buggy stuff that happens when you manipulate this. So I'm going to select it either here or down here. Reflect about the center of that. So there's our box. So I'm going to take this, copy it. That's another thing that drives me nuts. Alright, let's drag that there. Drag that there. Let's open it. Make it 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to grab this elevation camera and stick it inside there. Now for some reason this changed. I don't know why. Then I'm going to take the bottom of this, I'm going to drag it up right there. So that's our divider. There's our divider. That stayed the same. That also drives me nuts. That Chief, when you do stuff to these things, Chief will change that facet angle back to the default for some reason. Alright, I'm going to select this. Let's select it right here and see what happens. I'm going to do multiple copy. I've already got this set to 5. Yep, there you go. So let's look at that. So that's the kind of thing that can happen when you select it by the center. So I'm going to undo that. Go back over here. I'm going to select it up here, and then we'll do multiple copy. And then let's look at that. And that's correct. Alright, so I'm going to draw a line. And again, this is something that there's other ways of doing this. I'm just using this method because it's an easy way of spreading these things out evenly without doing any kind of math. So I'm going to select these, and that selected those partitions, but it also selected the drawer bottom. So I'm going to unselect that, and then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click this align, distribute along line, choose my line. I'm not going to change the alignment. I'm going to space evenly, and I'm going to distribute between endpoints, say OK. So now those are all nicely distributed. I don't need that line anymore. So there's our box. Now, one of the problems I always have with wood grain like this is that it's not very accurate, I guess, because the way the program works, the origin of all this wood grain is the same, so it wraps around. You know, it looks too I don't know. It doesn't look different enough. This side over here matches really good. This side over here doesn't. It matches okay, but it's not perfect. This side back here, again, it's not perfect, but it matches pretty good. But it's up here at the top that's the worst. That face, this face, this face, the wood grain is all going the wrong direction. Oh, another thing is that this is changed back to 7.5. I do not understand how that happens. Maybe I forgot to. Maybe I forgot to change that somewhere along the line. Anyway, back to this. What you can do to fix this is you can select this 3D solid and you can explode it. And that makes all these individual faces. You can delete that. I'll delete that. You can see there's now a hole there. I'm going to Control Z to put that back. But then you can come back here and you can apply a different material so the edge looks better. It's more obvious on a thicker, like this piece over here. It's more obvious when you get a thicker piece. But you could do it on these dividers as well, just to make it look better. You could create different horizontal patterns. You could offset these a little bit so they didn't line up so much. Of course, you're never going to see all this. This front's going to be covered by a drawer head. You won't ever see these sides together, and the back will be hidden. So, but on other things where that might be important, that's how you can do that. In older versions like X12, you could take a polyline solid and convert it into a solid, and then you could explode the solid and do the same thing. So let's select all this. We'll make it a symbol. Give it a unique name. I'm not going to show advanced options. I'm going to say OK. There's our new symbol. Let's stick it over here. And you can see how Chief messed with the messed with the wood. You can see the problem up here in this top of this. You can see back here on the back there's an angle coming down this way. The wood grain goes up and down here, but it goes across here. You can see that triangular shaped piece here. So there's all kinds of little anomalies that happen when you convert to a symbol. Make that into a drawer. Let's make this 100. I'm going to specify library. That's the one we just made. Show open drawers. Okay. Now, of course, to make this realistic, you'd probably want to put some kind of drawer slides on here. Again, this wasn't intended as a best practice tutorial, just a getting started on doing something like this.